Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Stephanie, and if you clicked this video, you've seen the title and you know where this video is heading. Obviously, I'm filming this in advance, so I'm so excited for the day that I can actually share that type of news with you. But I also felt like it was important to give a little bit of a backstory and just share kind of the rest of my experience leading up until that moment. I am filming this on September 9th, 2021, and my partner and I are in the middle of our trying to conceive journey. Last year, probably a little bit before Christmas, Christmas 2020, we had a discussion about what family planning was going to look like for us, and both of us were kind of in a place where we decided that we were comfortable with not starting to try quite yet, but we were comfortable with the fact that we weren't going to not try anymore. So for the following 3 months, we did it. Obviously not all the time, but I wasn't tracking anything. We were just not taking any precautions to not get pregnant. And finally in the 4th month, I was like, okay, so far nothing's happening. I think always in the back of my mind, I was like, well, what if something happened and I can't ever have a family? And up until this point, it wasn't something that really crossed my mind because it was never a step that we were ready to take. But after 3 months of not trying with no success, I decided to take the first step and use ovulation kits. So during my 4th cycle, I used the ovulation test kit, and I actually found out that I was ovulating later than what my period app was telling me, which is probably why we hadn't gotten pregnant up until that point. So having this knowledge, we ended up getting a positive pregnancy test that month. And I didn't record any of that. I didn't record the positive pregnancy test. I didn't record that experience. But it is still very real. So March of this year, March 2021, we got a positive pregnancy test. And because I had tracked my ovulation that month, I was very aware of where I was in my cycle. And so those 2 weeks, it was the longest 2 weeks of my life. And the day that I was supposed to get my period and I didn't, I took a test. It was positive and I was in shock. I didn't know what to do. I instantly cried. I was excited. I was nervous, and I actually remember it was like early in the morning and my boyfriend was about to start work. I think he was about to go into a pretty big meeting, and I just walked into the room holding the test and I showed him. Both of us were just like what do we do? Oh my God. And it was one of those things where I was instantly so excited and nervous and afraid, but mostly excited. And I felt like I was also instantly just overwhelmed with, what do I need to do? What do I need to learn? What do I need to find out? What don't I have? What do I, like, literally everything. And I felt like my life was suddenly consumed with the fact that I now had a life to prepare for. And it was probably one of the most thrilling and exciting moments I've ever experienced in my life up until that point. So the week following that positive test, I wasn't getting a lot of symptoms yet, but I did have some tenderness in my breasts and I was peeing a lot. And so that was one of those things that was like, I don't feel pregnant, but like that was an indication that I'm pregnant, which was so crazy. In my experience, I generally do have spotting kind of throughout my cycle, and I would say about a week in, I'd have to go back and double check, but I was experiencing a little bit of spotting. But when I went to my doctor for my first blood test, she said that that's not necessarily something to be concerned about because it's something that my body generally does. I shouldn't feel too worried, especially because it's early on, that it is a very normal thing, which growing up, that seemed like that. I feel like that was never something that was common knowledge. Having spotting or bleeding or anything while you're pregnant just seemed wrong, but that did ease my mind, and so the following couple days I tried not to worry too much about it. But a week and a half after our positive pregnancy test, I did start to bleed. And I was pretty sure that I was miscarrying, but obviously you hear things about sometimes people have like a period bleed and then they're still pregnant. So I had a phone call with my doctor, and I went to the ER that day, and after waiting hours and getting everything checked out, I was told that my hormone levels had dropped from when I had my blood taken the previous week, and that I was probably miscarrying. So with that, I went home and I was devastated. I knew I was excited, but I didn't realize how much I wanted it until I was losing it. So after speaking with my doctor about it, she said that one miscarriage doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen again, and oftentimes people go on to have successful pregnancies after that. So we waited 2 cycles, and I believe in my second cycle I started tracking my ovulation again so that we knew when our fertile window was, and I wanted to try right away. I knew, especially after having gone through that and having lost it, I knew that it was something that I wanted and we wanted and we were so excited for. So I tracked ovulation and bam, we got pregnant again. Now, one thing that I am before I go any further, one thing that I am so excited for, that's given me a little bit of reassurance through this process, is the fact that we've been able to get pregnant so easily. And I think until you try, you obviously never know until you try, and so for that, I know that we are incredibly lucky, and I'm so incredibly grateful. So yeah, this past June 2021, I got another positive pregnancy test. This time was different. This time I was obviously excited, but also I felt extremely cautious and nervous. Even though my doctor had said that it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen again, my only experience so far was that I would lose it. So I was very excited, but I also felt like even though the first time I was like, oh, you never know, obviously the first couple months, but this time I was like, you never know. Like, I'm not going to be for sure until this is for sure. And so the second time we got a positive test, even though I was excited, the entire time I was like, but something could happen, and not even a week later, so I was so the first time I was about 5.5 weeks. The second time I was a little less than 5 weeks, probably about 4.5 weeks pregnant, and I started bleeding again, and so I went straight to the ER, and we lost the second one. So obviously at this point, I was like upset the very first time, but I feel like the second time it hit me really hard. So the second time I started bleeding, I thought that I was kind of getting off easy. Thought that maybe because it was earlier, I wasn't cramping as much. I wasn't, I didn't feel it as much, but I was bleeding more than I thought was normal. At first I was like, oh, well, maybe everything is actually fine this time, because I'm not getting the same cramping that I was getting. Just turned out that it hadn't fully hit me yet, and I think like 2 days later, that's when all the cramps and stuff started, so it kind of hit me all over again. When I thought about starting a family, I didn't really think about the potential of loss until it happened, and so yeah, 2021's been kind of rough. But after our second miscarriage, I obviously asked my doctor if there was anything we could do. So she told me to just give my body a rest for a couple months, have a couple cycles where I can reset, and then we would start to talk about what tests we can do and what we can look at to hopefully see what's going on, and then at some point try again with new information. So I guess that kind of brings us to today. I was hoping that we would be able to try again this month, but not having had any information or any tests or anything done yet, I didn't want to try again and get the same results. So at the beginning of the month, my doctor referred me to a fertility clinic. I'm still waiting to hear back, but this next cycle we're going to be doing some hormone testing and kind of check all that stuff out, do another ultrasound to make sure everything's okay, and so hopefully we're on the road to get some answers. Obviously that's kind of like the Cole's Notes version of our journey so far, and if anyone's going through it or anyone has questions, then by all means please ask, please send me a message. I felt like watching other people's videos and talking to other people about it is what has been helping me the most to move forward and to heal. I also wrote a little blog post about it because I needed a way to be able to share it, so that it was out there and I could be like, hey, this is what happened, kind of just so people knew. That way, if it ever came up, it wasn't like, oh, it's this big secret, because it shouldn't be a big secret. Going through miscarriage I mean, everyone deals with things differently, but it shouldn't have to be something that people kind of go through and suffer through in secret. So if you are interested, I'll make sure I link my blog post where I talked a little bit more about my feelings and stuff about it in depth. But I didn't want this video to be like an in-depth dive into that part of our journey, because we have so much more to go. So next week I'm going to be getting some blood tests done for some of my hormones, and then later on in my cycle I will also be getting an ultrasound and some more blood tests, testing like progesterone and all that kind of stuff, which we have to wait later in my cycle to test. But tonight I'm going to an acupuncture appointment. So I guess the rest of this video is just going to be a little bit more of like a vlog on our journey up until we can share some more positive news with you. So here we go. And I am off to my first acupuncture appointment. I know that this isn't exactly necessarily like a fertility step, but up until this point, I have just kind of been waiting to try and find some sort of answers as to like what's going on with my body, and like to try and find reasons like why I would have been miscarrying in the past. And so I've just been waiting, and so I think just taking this step to try something and do something that might help level my hormones, or at least help find some sort of answer, and feeling like I'm actually doing something and taking an initiative, and like I have some sort of control to make a difference in what's been happening to me, feels really good. So I'm super excited, and I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay, so just a little debrief. It was dark outside by the time I left my appointment, so I couldn't record anything, and we went out and grabbed a late dinner afterwards. But little post-appointment debrief. It went really well. It was an hour session essentially, which included kind of an overview of my intake form. She was asking me a bunch of questions just about my health and my regular, just my regular health essentially, and how my body normally kind of functions. And obviously, because I was there specifically for fertility treatment and issues, she talked and asked about my cycle and that kind of stuff. So um, even though she likes to address everything like overall health because it is all tied together, it kind of sounded like an end goal is to balance everything out so that I don't have mid-cycle bleeding, and then kind of go from there. So obviously it's one appointment, nothing's going to change right away, but the experience was really awesome. As a first time getting acupuncture, I barely felt anything. I think the first needle I was kind of like flinched a little bit, but everything else was like I literally barely felt it. So I would say very positive experience. I was very relaxed by the end. So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to do weekly sessions for the next month, kind of my entire next cycle, essentially, and then we'll go from there and kind of see how my body is behaving and stuff. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And then next week we dive into getting like blood tests and all that kind of stuff with my like regular doctors. So it just feels good to have made some sort of move regardless of like how things turn out. It feels good to feel like I did something about this situation. So hopefully it's for the better.
All right, it is Thursday, September 16th. I haven't really had any real updates since last week. I do have another acupuncture appointment tomorrow, a follow up from last week, and then I'm going to be going for the next at least the full month, and see obviously where that lands me and what that does for me. I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but I spoke with my doctor last week, and she sent me a requisition for some kind of preliminary hormone blood work, which I got done this week. And then I also went and got an ultrasound done this week, today actually. So I have had, so it's one of the internal ultrasounds, just to kind of check over my ovaries and everything, and hopefully that all comes back okay. The technician did ask if I had one before and if like anything came up, and so I have had them before. They were always directly after slash like while I was miscarrying when I go into the emergency. So I've had two, and nothing concerning has come up. So I don't know if this ultrasound is really that much different, but I mean, if it isn't, then I feel like nothing will really come back, and then mid-cycle we'll do some more hormone tests. So probably all redundant information, because I'm sure I'll update you if I have any results from those, but that's just where I am at the moment. Okay, it is Monday. Been having a hard day. First of all, don't come for me. It's cold season in Canada. Yes, this is my favorite jacket. I wear it all the time. An embarrassingly large amount of the time I'm in the same outfit. But anyways, so it's Monday, and just as a little update, I got a Having a hard day. I got a positive pregnancy test on Friday. I got 5 positive pregnancy tests on Friday, and I took one more clear blue just to show like the weeks, the dating on it. So I took a clear blue on Saturday, which I didn't update you guys with, but it said 1 to 2 weeks, which makes sense with my cycle. I was just a little bit thrown because I felt like I shouldn't get such an obvious positive so early in my cycle. Um, and I had a lovely weekend. I actually got to see family on Sunday. I did tell my sister on Sunday, even though it is very early, having had miscarriages in the past, it's nice to have people who are close to you in your circle. And just so that when you say, oh, like if it doesn't go well, it's nice to be able to be like, for people to know that you were pregnant in the first place, if it goes south, instead of just being like, oh, I had a miscarriage. It's like it's not as much of a shock or surprise. um and I didn't really do that the first time around. But I have let a few people know this time, and I was going to keep it a surprise. I was at a bridal shower yesterday and had a lot of family there. And my mom, long story short, my mom tried insisting that I have champagne even though I was driving later that day, just for a toast for my cousin's bridal shower. And I was like, oh, no, 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 that's fine. And she's a very intuitive lady and looked at me and started tearing up. And she's like, are you pregnant? And so my mom is aware, which I was a little bit sad because I wanted to be able to surprise them. I was thinking forward and hopeful. I'm thinking forward to Christmas. I wanted to surprise my mom and dad together for Christmas. But anyway, so my sister and my mom know, and but today I'm having some red spotting, and so just with my previous experience, I feel like I'm preparing for the worst. And it's so early. Like, I'm not even a month pregnant yet. Like, it's not even 2 weeks of like gestational age or whatever. So I guess maybe this would technically be called a chemical pregnancy if it goes south. But like, I know, and I've read so many things where it says that that like spotting or bleeding is not always negative, and it's not abnormal. But right now, my only experience with pregnancy is that spotting eventually leads to miscarriage or a failed pregnancy, and I just don't know how to deal with it. I didn't want to cry, I just wanted to update, but I'm so scared. And oh god, I did not want to cry. Because it was so early, I didn't want to like jump and go make an appointment to get my blood levels taken yet, because obviously if something happens at this point, it's not like there's anything that could be helped or changed or whatever. So the last 2 times that we got pregnant, I went and got my blood work done right away, and obviously those didn't turn out. So it just felt like I didn't want to like go through that if we had something early happen again. And so I haven't done that yet, and I wanted to maybe make an appointment this week, and trying to actually get an open appointment is like literally there's like nothing available for weeks, so I don't know entirely what I'm gonna do yet. But anyways, right now it's not really looking hopeful, just with what I've experienced so far. And I was so hopeful, and I felt like this time, and I'm speaking like it's already over, but I've been so hopeful, and I felt like right now is right, and I'm really hoping that it still is, but also I'm really afraid that it's not. So that's where we are right now. I do have a intake appointment booked at the fertility clinic still that I'm not going to cancel. That is at the end of this month. So regardless of where I'm at, if this sticks or if this doesn't, like I'm still going to keep that. And I'm just so, I don't know. I don't know. Waiting for answers is, or waiting just to see how things go is literally the worst part of this. And so far in our experience, it seems like we get pregnant easily if we try and I time everything and we try. It seems like it happens easily. This month we were like, you know what, we're gonna give her a go. I feel like my body's had time to heal, and I felt like my spotting was much less, and everything seemed like I don't know. So we were like, let's just throw caution to the wind and see how it goes. And obviously it went and happened, but now I'm just terrified that it's not going to continue. So, anyways, it's just the staying pregnant that my body doesn't really seem to know how to do. Hopefully, I'm just getting upset for no reason and my body's just overwhelmed with hormones, and that's why I'm spotting, but we will see. It's been an emotional day, and I've tried to keep busy, but it's just hard to focus when literally my brain, like I don't know how to think about anything else when this is happening. So we'll see. We will see.
So today is Saturday, November. What is today? November 13th, I think. Yesterday I was 4 weeks along. I took a clear blue digital test that showed 2 to 3 weeks on the test, pregnant 2 to 3 weeks. Yesterday morning, and I had some bright red bleeding yesterday afternoon. So at this point, I was hopeful when I saw 2 to 3 weeks. That's from the point of like ovulation or conception, because the week prior it said 1 to 2 weeks, so it's on time with where it should be. But the bright red bleeding yesterday, I had not, like, it wasn't heavy. I'm not feeling a pad, but this is how it started last time with my early loss. So I went through my emotions yesterday, so at this point I'm kind of just expecting it to kind of pass, in which case we'll have our fertility appointment in a couple weeks and we can maybe just start the process of figuring out why it's not working. If for any freak reason this is like still viable pregnancy, I don't feel that way, but also you never know. Like, I don't know. I don't know, and I would like to know either way, but it's still so early. And so anyways, I'm spending my day in bed, because that's what I feel right now, and I kind of tuned out everything, and I'm just gonna chill out. I canceled all my weekend plans. I had a shoot tomorrow that I canceled, and I was supposed to visit someone today. I canceled, and so I'm just gonna chill and either wait for this to kind of progress in terms of finish, or stop by some weird miracle. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's the beginning of the end. Today is Saturday, November 21st. I feel like a lot has happened, but also nothing has happened in the last little bit. Oh wait, no, it's not the 21st. Today's Saturday, November 20th. Yesterday, I was going to do a little bit of an update as to where we are at the moment yesterday, but also yesterday just so happened to be um, the first due date that I had when we got pregnant the first time. So I kind of just was tried to be as gracious with myself as possible. I did an early morning yoga class. I just wanted to have a day where I was just taking time for myself, and because it was a weird thing. Earlier this month, I came across, I was trying to schedule something in my calendar, and I was looking on my phone, and there was something scheduled on November 19th, and I was like, what's on November 19th? And I clicked it, and it said baby due date. And it kind of just, I spiraled and cried, and it was like a whole thing. So yesterday, yeah, I just wanted to take that time for myself. And yesterday also would mark 5 weeks for us. But also, this has been the longest 2 weeks. So I've known that I've known I got a positive, can't even talk. I got a positive pregnancy test 2 weeks ago. Mad early, even if I didn't quite estimate my like ovulation time properly, it's still so early. So I've known for 2 weeks, and it's been the longest 2 weeks pretty much in my life. I got blood work done on Tuesday. Numbers all came back fine. I got repeat blood work done yesterday. I got the requisition to go get my HCG levels tested again, and they did not double. So on top of yesterday being a weird kind of emotional day, my hormone levels are not where they should be. And I did look it up because obviously everyone Googles as soon as they want to find answers. And there are instances where some women don't have doubling HCG, they have slow rising hormone levels, and they do go on to have healthy pregnancies and healthy babies. So that was like a slice of hope that I needed, but also I'm trying to be realistic given the experience that I have had in the past, and what the numbers say. Like typically they should have doubled every 2 to 3 days at this stage of pregnancy, and that is just not the case. So I think it went up by like 30, to be exact, 38%, which is not 100%. So yeah, that was that. And then last night I started bleeding again. So I had some last night, a little bit this morning, and then the rest of the day has been fine. I already had my cry about it. I'm not, even though I feel like I've already jumped to conclusions, I'm trying to just stay open and positive. Don't know what it means, but that's where I'm at. That's where we're at. Don't have any answers yet, but that's it. Okay, the date is November 26th, Friday. This would have been 6 weeks into this pregnancy, but this pregnancy, we've confirmed this pregnancy is not viable. So yeah, this week we have realized that this pregnancy is not viable. It's kind of exactly what I thought was happening. I was hopeful, but also it just felt too familiar with my past experiences. So long story short, my HCG levels were not progressing as much as they should have, and they were still progressing for a little bit. I had 3 tests where it was continuously getting higher, just not as much as it was supposed to. And this week, my body is now kind of letting go, and so they have since dropped a little bit. We've had our sad moments about it, but I am literally, as I record this, waiting for the conference host to join. So as unfortunate as that is, I am currently waiting to have a conversation with a fertility clinic. We booked this appointment like 4 or 5 months ago, after our second loss, and we were hopeful that
maybe for some reason we wouldn't actually need it because we did get pregnant again, but I'm glad that we didn't cancel it, because hopefully now we will get some answers. It's very unfortunate that the healthcare system doesn't really recognize a concern until after someone has gone through 3 losses. We did get this appointment before then, but for the most part, a lot of doctors kind of wait until that. So we've hit that milestone, unfortunately. And yeah, I think that originally this video was going to end in us being pregnant. So it was like our journey, and then there's a happy ending. But I don't know when that's going to be yet. So we're starting a new chapter. Hopefully we will get answers, and I will share that as much as possible. But I think that this video ends here. So I am hopeful that we'll find some answers, and our next chapter will be a little bit more positive. If you have gone through this, no matter how early or late, or you've had infertility or whatever, and you want to share your experience or you need someone to talk to, I found it very healing to talk about it, which is why I'm also sharing it here. The more that I do talk about it, it makes it feel less heavy. It's never going to be easy, but if you need someone to talk to, let me know. And hopefully, if you're on kind of the same track and we're going through this together, let me know, and we can create a little support system. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna close this out here, let my body heal, and hopefully start the journey to finding answers. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And if you want to follow along, subscribe, and maybe one day we'll be on a different journey.